When I started this series, there was a lot of people hyped up for the Cole video because LEGO is always shafting my boy and giving him no sets. But guys, as it turns out, it was all a lie. Our main man Cole, he's actually doing alright because Nia is out here suffering. There are no Nia sets. You guys want top 10 Nia sets? Too bad, because it's not possible. There are only 9. So I am sending out a proposition to you, LEGO. If you can get Nia to double do your sets, I will become the first person on the planet to buy the Dragon's Rising bedspread. Your move. But look, it might be rough, but there's still some sets to rank, even if there's not that many of them. But of course, before we begin, remember that TV show portrayal and price will not be factors on this list. So no, I will not be including the Nia car from the Ninjago MECH Dragon on this list, even though it's a Nia vehicle in the show. In the actual set, Nia's not even included, and the vehicle itself doesn't have any Nia characteristics from symbols, color scheme, or anything like that, so I'm not including that one. And also, I won't be including the Dragon's Forge because that's so evenly split. I don't think you can definitively say it is a Nia set or definitively say it's a Kai set. Alright, let's go. This is the newest Nia set, and it's also by far the worst. Dragons just do not work in the EVO style, and I feel like this one really highlights that. It's trying to be one of those dragons with a longer neck, which is something Ninjago hasn't really done that much, and the best example I could find, at least in LEGO, is actually this Monkey Kid set, but the problem is that this set is just way too small, so it just can't pull it off at all, and the neck just looks super awkward and bulky. I also don't love the wings because they're super skinny, and I feel like they could have used a better piece there. And then lastly is the head. Now, this one is more of a personal issue because in a vacuum, the head is fine, there's nothing wrong with it, but I don't like that they pretty much just use the exact same head as the original Water Dragon set, but they just slightly change the colors and the orientation of those water pieces on the top. Even the eye printing is pretty similar. It just makes the set feel like it's lacking its own personality, and it's just not unique at all. This is the first ever vehicle that Nia got since she became the Water Ninja, which also means this is back when LEGO didn't know what to do with her, so she was basically just Kai, but with some blue mixed in there, which is why the color scheme of this one is going to be very different compared to all of her other sets. Still, I think this bike build is alright. It's got some cool design choices like those 3 fins on the back, and I like the exhaust thing on the front, which can actually lift up and act like a dual shooter of some sort, but that's pretty much all there is to this bike. It has no functions, all it can do is roll around and hold Nia. And while technically that is all a bike set needs to do, compared to other sets on this list, that's just not enough. The Legacy Samurai Mech is the first of the Samurai X and Nia sets, and it's actually a set that I think is a little bit underrated for what it is. At its size, it's a very solid build because it's got a ton of articulation, it's got some stud shooters, and it honestly looks pretty good. The thing is though, this is a legacy set, and when you compare it to the original Samurai Mech, this is just an absolute huge downgrade. So while it may be a perfectly fine small mech set, this is not a great Samurai Mech. Now some people might disagree with me on this one being a Nia set, but a long time ago Tommy did say this was a Nia vehicle, and it does have Nia's symbol on the back and the top. And look man, Nia has no sets, so you gotta let me have this one. The Ninja DBX is a pretty cool set with some understandable flaws. From the front, this set looks great. It's got a really fortified look and I love the giant windshield, but when you move towards the back, it starts to fall apart a little bit. There are some very obvious gaps all over, most notably on the top, but there also are some on the sides as well. But there is a good reason for this. The entire back can be pulled out and turned into a mobile base, which is actually a really cool idea. It gives room for some spring-loaded shooters to pop up for the rest of the truck too, which is cool, although I will say the DVX does look pretty hilarious without the back part attached, so while I personally don't like the gaps, I do understand why they're there. Even though Nia might be the ninja with by far the least amount of sets, she is one of the few to actually have a location set. The Samurai X Cave is another one which I feel like is a little bit forgotten because this was a Toys R Us exclusive, and it was part of the Day of the Departed wave, which that wave as a whole is just kind of awkward because it had the Ninjago movie coming up and it wasn't supposed to come out, but then the movie got delayed and it didn't even get a full season, so it just kind of came and went. But this is actually a super cool set. I love the opening skull. The ability to move the entire floor to reveal some Easter eggs while also changing the look of the set is a really great idea. There's a function to build the jet, and the jet is actually modular, so you can build it in different combinations, and there's even a mini mech included. There's also just a ton of space for minifigures both above and below this set. Looking back on it, this is probably one of the cooler sets that they've ever done. Original Samurai Mech might be the best ever mech for its time. In my opinion, this is the best looking of Nia's mechs, and it's the most curative of the designs. There's some really cool piece usage, like the train cowcatcher pieces use its shoulder pads, the pirate ship cannons, and the CCBS arms. There's also waist articulation, which I always love to see, and while there are no knees, I don't think you really need them at this scale. There's just something about this set that speaks to me more than Nia's other mechs, even though I will admit it's not the best of them. The new Crystallized Samurai Mech is a truly elite mech set, and it is the best of Nia's mechs. It's got great articulation everywhere, including the knees, there's no awkward proportions or oversized hands, and the colors, while I didn't like them at first, have grown on me. And while I do prefer the look of the original Samurai Mech, this newer one is objectively better. It's a fundamentally great set in every aspect, and honestly, I would say there's nothing truly wrong with it. The original Water Dragon is a set we were waiting to get for years, and it did not disappoint. This is a really great dragon. The design is long and sleek, which, while some people might feel it's a little bit plain when you compare it to some of the other dragons, I still think it looks great. The flapping wing function is cool, the back section of the dragon is on a hinge, so you can actually swing the tail and that back waist all the way around. And this thing just has an overall elemental feel to it that you don't really see in any of the other Nia sets, but I always like it when they lean into the more elemental aspects into these dragons. And at number 1 on my list here is the Water Strider. You know, there's a lot of sets that you can argue don't really get better with time, but this set is the complete opposite, which each passing year I feel like this set just gets better and better. The design is super creative, and we still haven't seen anything like it since the set came out. The color scheme on this one is kind of weird because it's mainly black with transparent light blue serving as a highlight color, but I think that actually works great, and I think it would be a good idea for them to actually go back to that for future Nia vehicle sets. The middle section is also able to spin all 360 degrees, which makes the stud shooters super useful. And look, I know I said price doesn't factor on this list, and it is not a part of my reasoning for putting this set at number 1, but I would be remiss if I did not mention that this set was only $30, because even back in 2017 when this set came out, that was absolutely insane, and it's even more insane when you think about it today. This is a set to me that is pretty much flawless.